Hello. I'm wondering. So, it's Friday, August. Anyway, the DNC convention just ended. I watched it. Not the whole thing, parts of it. And I saw it was one big show. They trotted out everybody. I've said this since I started these videos years ago on all levels, COVID, whatever I'm talking about. I'm never here to convince you of anything. I'm here to share what I see as my worldview, and you're welcome to take that, put it in a hopper, and decide what you want to do. But I've said over and over like a broken record, do the research for yourself, see the bigger picture, and try to get all the information in, and then based on all the information you get from all sides, make a decision that's right for you. I've always said that for everything. I've also said obviously my bias, my favoritism, I like Trump, etc. So, back to the DNC convention. And this is part of the information you can take or not. I saw all the tweets and all the social medias going on all week long from people on my social medias, Facebook, etc., talking about joy. That was a theme. It seemed to be the DNC. Bring joy back in. Talk about happiness, of how Waltz is a family man and his son crying. And I watch all this stuff. It's good to be informed, everybody. And how we have to have our emotions, and unlike the other side, we deal with our emotions. We have emotions, and we're empathetic, and that's great. I mean, that's great. If everybody thinks that's great. Like you want to have your joy and all this sort of stuff with Kamala and be open, and that's fine. But emotions come into part of this, but it doesn't run a country. So step outside. If you're for the Democrat Party, great. If you want to vote for Kamala, great, good for you. But do the research. So now step aside from these emotions that have been focused on and find what is their agenda. What is the policies? So I didn't really hear them talk a lot about policies. I saw a lot of statistics where Trump's name was mentioned 200 plus times. The border was mentioned under 20. Crime in cities was mentioned minimally. So they're not really talking about policies. Kamala has said a few, like price fixing on grocery stores, which is basically communist. It's what it is if you know your history. But not a lot about policies. So go in and see what the policies are for the Democratic Party. Find out what they're pitching. And keep in mind that they've been running this country, supposedly, for the last 4 years. So do you feel like everything is built better now? Kamala was the vice president for Biden. So that's their policy. She's part of that. So do you feel like you're in a better spot now than you were 5-6 years ago with all the gas and grocery prices? Ask yourself that question. That's a rhetorical question. And then go in and look to see what Kamala's track record has been all the way back to California. She was AG. Do you know that? Because if you don't, and you're voting for the Democratic Party, and this goes on both sides, Republican Party too, you should know the history of your candidate and the track records and what their policies are, because that's what's eventually going to affect your life when they're in office, supposedly. Most politicians talk out the corners of their mouth anyway. But you get a good idea. An informed voter is somebody who you need to be. This is all part of this waking up. We need to know what we're doing. So this includes the right too, the Republicans. Know who your policies are. Know who your candidate is. And the touchy-feely emotional side comes into play, but it's not going to put food on the table at the end of the day when these policies when they're a thing. So you have to look into that. This is part of being an informed citizen. This is a duty. You don't just follow something because everybody else is or because it feels good. You should know, because in a lot of ways we need to be informed, and we need to know who, all the way from our local councils, city councils, school boards, all the way to the top. This hasn't happened in a long time. I have said this before. I am as much to blame as anyone back in my LA days when I lived in LA. And I was actually voting Democrat in the early days. But I wasn't paying attention to who was getting in my school board or who was getting in my local city council back then. I was too busy making movies and figuring out the bar in my place. And that's okay. We're all at fault. But now's the time to wake up and be informed. Because we let a lot of this stuff happen to us. Because we, the people, gave our power away to these people who quit serving us on all sides, who quit serving us a long time ago. And this is where a lot of this change is coming into place now. People are fed up on all sides. They're fed up with their leaders paying them lip service over and over, lying to them, and not doing anything that serves their needs. And here we are. So this is a long game thing, but we need to be involved. And if you can be involved, I said this over and over in your community. I have been for quite a while living in Texas or here. Great. I'm not saying that to pat on the back. It's something because I learned a lot. I was poll watching the last election. I was part of the election process so I could learn about the election process. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. If you anything, just keep informed. So take that and see, because we are going into a storm. Even more so, and like a broken record, I'm saying this over and over again. This next few months is going to be wackadoo. So, eyes wide open, okay? See that. Now, what I'm doing now, I'm somewhere in the desert of New Mexico. I stayed in Albuquerque last night, Moab the night before, and I'm on my way to a place called Seagraves, Texas, which is a little town, like a tiny little town I discovered a couple of years ago in Texas. It's up in the Panhandle, not too far from Amarillo. And there was a guy who was, I think he was a UPS driver back east for years. He retired and somehow discovered this place and this old hotel that was built in the 1800s. And he put his life savings into it. After he retired, he came back. The town is tiny, and I always wish him the best when I go there. But it's just an old hotel that he's preserved the integrity of it. It's just really cool, really good vibes. There's ghosts, all that. So I go and stay a couple days and just enjoy it. It's one of my stops that I've always enjoyed. So that's it. Keep informed, do the research, eyes wide open. Talk to you soon. Bye.